Good evening, Prisca. Thank you so much for joining us for our Business Unusual series this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So before we begin, I'd like to first acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, Wurundjeri land of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Prisca of baresop, an ecopreneur who is doing amazing things within the body product space, creating carbon neutral, renewable, and environmentally friendly products. And if you haven't seen baresop before, I highly recommend that you check it out. It's an amazing hand washing product that is refillable and is plant-based. So it's good on your hands, good on your skin, but it's also good for your environment. So thank you, Prisca, for coming through.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So we're really interested to learn more about your entrepreneurial journey, Prisca. But at first, let's find out who you are. Who is Prisca?
Right. Good question. Who is Prisca? Prisca is really, I would say, I'm like anyone here who is who's listening to this, a girl who just believed in, I just wanted to do something that was bigger than myself, and just went on and went on a journey to find what that was and got onto that journey. My name is Prisca Ongonga-Daenh. But if you ask me, who am I? Well, that's who I am. Just, an average girl just going for her dreams, pretty much, I think I can say. Like any of you guys, yeah.
And when did that dream begin? What made you want to start a business?
Right. That's an interesting question. Well, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So my dad, I grew up in a family where my dad did own a business, and we worked in the business as well, obviously, since, as you can imagine, as young kids, we were involved in every way that we could. And really, to me, that's all I knew of how things were. I didn't have an experience of, of my mom or dad going away to work and coming home. Everything was pretty much entrepreneurial spirit. So you kind of had to do it. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, obviously there's no food on the table, right? So I had that, but obviously I went on to school, on to uni. And then the funniest thing is, at the beginning, I was like, I was never going to be an entrepreneur, because I had seen that happen in my family, and I was like, no, I don't want this. But then here I am. It's funny how you go in a circle and then you come back, right? So anyway, went to uni, and then I studied journalism, then gone to PR, into recruitment. And then at that point, I felt like this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I wasn't happy. It wasn't fulfilling. And that's when I decided to do my first gig, which was in fashion, actually. That was when I was living in Beijing. So that went well. It got bought by a Korean fashion chain, and then I went on to actually start something else, which was bags, bags made from recycled plastic, which we then supplied to resorts to help them obviously go through a sustainable journey, or a sustainability journey. And then baresop. I mean, it's a very long story that obviously, if I go into deeply, we'll be here for hours. So I'm just trying to actually cut it short. But with baresop, it was really definitely about what's my life purpose? What am I here for? And believing really strongly that we are all here for a reason. we're not here by accident, each one of us. I do believe that. And finding what's that for me. And it makes me emotional every time I talk about it. And for me, really, I can share this with you guys. It was about, how do I become a vessel? How do I become a vessel for change? And then tapping, okay, and then conversation at the dinner table about the Pacific patch garbage and the plastic waste, not just plastic, but all kinds of waste that's piling on there, and how no one is doing anything about it. No one can. It's going to be trillions of dollars to do something, and realizing, well, how can we do something that makes us own our own narrative about it? So even though we can't clean it up, how can we affect that process so there isn't, so we can eliminate plastic, right? So then starting in the kitchen and finding quite a number of alternatives to that, but then going into the bathroom and realizing there's actually not many alternatives, actually not even existing at that point of time. That was early 2019, and talking to Australians, because I'm in Australia, about, is it even a problem? Is it something you want, you care about, and what solutions are you using at the moment? And really drilling into that, and that then just uncovered all kinds of things that led me onto a path to innovate the baresop concept. So in short, that's what it is.
Amazing. And it sounds like a lot of your businesses that you've done historically had a focus on environmental sustainability. Has that been a passion for you whilst growing up?
Well, interesting. Look, I will lie to you if I say it was. While I was growing up, no, it wasn't. I think at that time when I was growing up, it wasn't even a thing, because, there wasn't, I feel like, there wasn't that awareness. So it really just didn't kick in, right? But I think I was coming from a place of, how do we take something that is ordinary and make it better to suit the times we are in and solve the problems that we are currently having? So how can because I come from a product development background, and that's what I'm passionate about. I love creating products that makes life easier. Like, how can we pull this ordinary object or item or product, and then only leave what's necessary, and that necessary bit, how does it affect the customer experience, and also, like solving the problems that the ordinary product was not solving. So really that process.
That's very interesting. And also with baresop, with the purpose of it being plant-based, and as you mentioned, you looked at what was on the market, and in the household, we have all these products, especially like in the kitchen and everything, but there wasn't much within the bathroom space. Mm-hmm. And so with that, your iteration and your journey in developing that, what has been your experience, especially given that you're trying to disrupt a very traditional market, might I say, with a very well established competitor?
Yeah. So well, what I discovered was people really care about the environment, and people do want to make change. Interestingly, now I was actually quite surprised to see, like, I would say 80% of, I spoke to about 200 people, about half an hour chat or sometimes more, and finding out that most of them were actually wanting to create change, and eliminate plastic or other kind of waste, right? And I would say in general, actually, to reduce their carbon footprint in any way that they can. But the problem they were having is the products that were out there were not taking into account price for them to actually access these products or these solutions. and convenience, because people are busy, people are busy living their lives. There's so much, you're going to work, we have kids, you have all the other things, you have to do. And if you have to add this into your list that, I'm going to drive, 2 miles, however many kilometers to go to a refill station, which were the closest to what we were trying to do, to fill my bottle, it just didn't make sense. Most were saying, look, I want to do it, but I just don't have the time. And thirdly, the other thing that came out of that was the products that were in market, they lacked the functionality. So they were not as effective. So they want us, but, let's say, for example, I would say like a shampoo, it wasn't good. It wasn't as good as what they were currently using, and people are not willing to make that compromise, right? So when we went into the drawing board, it was, how do we take all of these pain points into mind and bring a solution that actually solves all those problems, so that people really, it's more like a no-brainer. It's more like, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense. I have no reason to not go on this journey, because all I have to do is go on the internet, buy the product, and then I don't have to go to the post office to have it refilled and then, cleaned up, sent back to me, which is what was actually what was happening in the market to actually solve this problem. So our solution was, you buy this sachet, it's home compostable. Once you have put the powder into the bottle, you put the sachet into your compostable, bin, or into your garden or your food scraps, and within a couple of months, it becomes part of your soil. So it just eliminates that need to spend more time and money and thought process to actually create change. Yeah, so in essence, actually, that's what it is. Obviously, I'm sorry, I forgot the bit of the plant-based and cruelty-free and vegan, and that all our products, we wanted them to be made in Australia. And that really also taps into those pain points that we found, that obviously people do care about the products they put in their body, and nobody wants toxins in their skin. And we went on to a long journey to actually be able to come with a plant-derived formulation that is clean enough to eat. Obviously, you shouldn't eat it, but everything in there is almost edible, right? There isn't anything there that is a body chemical for you. So yeah, I hope that answered the question. Sorry, I've been talking too much.
Well, you are very right, in the sense of people are becoming more aware about their surrounding environment, and they're caring more, because, well, we have more access to information. Because if you think about it, if even 20 years back, people didn't have as much access to information as we do. Yeah. And people are also now more concerned about what they are putting within their bodies, the toxins and the effects of all of that. And what I like about baresop is that you've actually made a sustainable product accessible. Because historically, if you wanted to be sustainable or go green, it was actually quite expensive. So it ended up being like an elitist kind of movement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, Luna.
But you've actually now made it very accessible for anyone and everyone. And for those that aren't familiar with the baresop product, so you get a sachet that you can put in a bottle, fill it in water, and then it becomes your hand wash, your body wash, your shampoo. And then if you want to refill it, it's just as easy as getting it posted to you. And then you can then use that exact same bottle, and then you can then continue on. So I absolutely love how you've made sustainability accessible to everyone, and for people to participate in caring for the environment, which is very commendable. So congratulations to you.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. Actually, I like how you have articulated that, the accessibility for everyone, and allowing everyone to actually participate on on that journey with as less pain as possible. And I know at the moment, I just want to say this, and it might not be politically correct, but at the moment, because all our products are made in Australia, which obviously, which affects our supply chain, because we wanted our supply chain to be transparent and clean as well. And that's how, we're able to collect data on how much carbon we are producing, not just from a supply chain, but from the products and our suppliers. And then being able to compare that with what the traditional offerings are doing, and being able to show that you actually, if you do convert to this, even as a business, not just as a customer, this is how much carbon you are going to be to be reducing. And then we take that data and we offset it. And that's why, because someone may ask, like, how do you say you're carbon positive? That's how we say we are carbon positive. By really being transparent and being responsible, actually, like being accountable to ourselves. So we are not greenwashing.
Yes, very much so. That is a thing that happens, especially in this space. And so within your journey of, being green, transparent, accessible, what have been some of your key learnings throughout that process?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So key learnings, there are quite a lot, actually. I'm not don't know on which part to tap. Well, one of the learnings that we have found is, again, how many people are in need of an easy solution, right? Because I think one of the ones that I missed that I didn't use already is we want to make it easy for you to be, part of that positive journey. And one of the insights that we have found, again, I said, people are really wanting a solution. We are realizing that sometimes the price, even at the moment of our products, can be, some people see it as inaccessible, obviously comparing to traditional products in the market that, are water-based, right? And again, not taking into account that for us to bring a clean product to market, it costs a lot more than the toxic products that are out there, which is what makes them very cheap. And the fact, they're mostly made in China, which obviously they again reduce that cost. So we are learning these things, and our mission, not mission, but really our vision is to be able to find a way that we can do what we want to do, but also be able to work with the pricing that makes our products even way more accessible than it is now. So that's a challenge that we are facing at the moment, that we are working to solve. And part of that is obviously, I don't know if we already now, we are now in Woolworths. We just got that done, and that's the spaces we want to be operating in. And now about insights. Another insight that we found is people buy their hand wash and body wash and shampoo and conditioner. Most, I would say 80% of Australians would be buying those from your large scale retailers like your Coles and Woolworths. Like I do too, obviously, unless it's a product that we have. Just because it's convenient, you're there to buy other things and you buy those too, and maybe because the pricing as well. And so we were like, well, why don't we meet our customers where they already are, right? And so that's an insight that we have found, like, how do we operate in the space where they already are and bring in a product. I can't say the same pricing because it's not price competitive that we are going for, but to a level whereby most people, obviously you can't cater to everyone, but where most people are able to easily afford it. And especially now with insights, with COVID, I would say everyone at some level has been affected. And this, obviously, if you look at the data for retail purchasing, and it's really gone down, and it's going to continue to go down. And taking that into account of, how do we become empathetic to that, to people not having access to income as they did. And if they do, it's probably been reduced in terms of percentage. So how do we become empathetic to that, and bring out products again that are affordable with that in mind? So yeah, it's quite a lot we're figuring things out.
Yeah, and I love how congratulations first on, being in Woolies. So really looking forward to seeing the baresop product in Woolworths. And as you pointed out, with COVID, a lot of people now are being more mindful about even washing hands, something simple like that. People are being more mindful to understand, well, am I washing correctly? Do I have the right products? And how am I able to sort of, still, yes, I'm conscious that I need to be washing my hands all the time and every time, but how can I do it in a more sustainable way? And I like what you talked about in meeting your customer where they're at, because too often I know when starting a business, you might have an amazing idea and then you want to start it one way, because I know like with baresop, we started off, it was social media and also the website. Mm-hmm. And obviously you'll have some traction, but it's more so it's only people who know you, or who have been referred to you, will know, okay, there is baresop, so I can sort of, I can purchase to that. But if you're in places like Coles, Woolworths, where everyone can sort of see you, then you have more traction, because then there's more brand awareness to people, because once they start seeing your logo and your brand, they're like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that in Coles. So, I remember seeing it in Woolworths. So it almost becomes like a familiar space as well.
100%.
And so how many products or iterations did you take for you to get to baresop? What was that journey like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that journey started with me thinking about actually opening a real estate space, like a literal shop. I live in Elwood, so just around the corner on the strip there, and having like a refill station, and then thinking, okay, first I can have a refill station of just one shampoo, conditioner, whatever. And then it went to, well, maybe you can actually not just have one brand, but you can collaborate with all the major brands out there and have all their brands there as refillable. But then I was thinking, well, but that doesn't really solve the problem I'm trying to solve, which is at that time I'd not done my research yet, right? So I was just going on with with my own thinking process, and realizing that it's, first of all, if we had a real estate, we have to pay for the rent, which is really costly, and an employee, and it just wasn't sustainable. And I felt like we're actually going back and not moving forward with the times. So I was like, this is not going to work. So what's the next? And I thought about maybe just having a very nice refillable bottle, because I told you, I love product development. So why don't I just create a lovely refillable bottle, and then people can just buy that, and then they can buy it can encourage them to be refilling because they just have that packaging there. And I was like, well, that just creating more, because they're already buying it in plastic and then they're filling it into this one. How is that solving the problem? So then I went on to the tablet form, actually, and thought I could probably do that with the tablet form. So again, it takes out that water. Obviously, that is, and that's actually it wasn't like a step-by-step, it was more like a lot of research and then iteration, more research. So when we had the tablet, again, I spoke to a number of people, because I was in the Monash validator program. And so I went through my validation process with the team there. and talking to a number of people, and me really focusing on the bathroom as the key space, and then finding out that most people were like, well, that's great, but I'm not sure that I would want to use a tablet for my body, or because I don't know, but the sense I was getting is most people felt like it had chemicals, like a bit of a chemicalness, like it doesn't seem clean, right? And so that was then not tying into the toxic piece, which was very important to me. And then, so I was like, okay, this is never going to work. Like, how am I ever going to do this? Like, so I went through like, yeah, like almost I was stuck for a bit actually. And then one day I was sleeping, and I remember this because I actually texted my friend the next day, and I was like, oh my God, powder. How about powder? And I was like, look, people are already using like powder face mask, right? So maybe it's possible. So I was like, but is it really? Like, if it is, like, why has nobody done that before? Like, so I just went again on to like, first of all, what I did before I even knew it was, no, actually, that's not true. First, I went on a research journey to see if it's possible. And I couldn't find anything actually. So there was nothing to actually compare or refer to. But I feel like I love research. I really do love research, right? So I just yeah. Anyway, so I did that, and I still wasn't sure it's possible, but I kind of had the basic idea of how that could work. And I talked to once I knew I didn't know it could work, like I talked to a number of chemists, and they were like, yeah, no, we can't help you. Like, there's no way that's going to happen, because how is the powder, how is the liquid and the scenting, like essential oil, whatever, how is that going to dry enough for it to not like get moldy? And yeah, so how are you gonna have that? Because you don't want any toxins, you're saying, so you don't want preservatives. So how is that gonna work? And they were like, no, it's not gonna work. And I'm like, oh my God. So I talked to quite a number, and I was reaching out to referrals to, anyone, in the skincare industry. And they were like, no, sorry, I can't help you. We only do liquid. And until one point, I reached out to this other person who gave me a referral to these two people, said maybe they might do it. I don't know. One of them was like, I don't know if I can do it. Send me the information and I will let you know if I can do it. I'll play around and see. And yeah, so he sent me a sample in 2 months, and I tried the sample and it worked, and I could not believe it. I actually could not believe it. I really was like, no way. Wow. And so, yeah, so I would say that's the journey.
Wow, that is a very interesting experience. And you bring an important point of researching and testing. And you also mentioned that you were part of the Monash Accelerator program as well. So to what extent has, you going to programs like an accelerator program or hackathon or pre-accelerator program, how has that shaped yourself as an entrepreneur as well as your brand?
Oh, I would say in so many ways. Like, I don't know where I would be without them, actually. Yes, starting with Monash, and then we're going on to Antler, and then obviously now I'm in the StartMate one. Really, you don't know what you don't know. I think that's the way to put it. And while I had done other businesses before, and I thought I kind of had a grip of what that looks like, I think I was underestimating what this journey was going to be like. And being in the program and being exposed to amazing talent and mentors and cohorts, and honestly, that was amazing. That just knowing that you don't know, that actually you think you know but you don't, and actually knowing how much you don't know and being open to learning, right, really, really shaped me as a founder. is one thing, but then as a CEO, it's another level, right? So as a founder, it's a journey in itself. But then when you can be a founder, but you're not a CEO. And that's something, again, I learned. So growing from being a founder to a level where I feel like, okay, now I feel comfortable saying that, I'm a CEO. That took quite an interesting journey. So I would say those things, and just opening you to the network around Australia, the startup ecosystem. I think that's something that you can monetize that forever, right? It's not something that, it's way more than money. It really is. And yeah, so I think that's, to me, is the key thing, to be able to have access to the network and, soundboard and ask for advice. And that, to me, I think was the main thing with Accelerator programs, the learnings and the network.
We have a question from the audience.
Okay.
So the question is, how important do you think investor funding is in the startup phase?
It depends, actually. It depends on your journey, and it depends on why you need the investment, right? So I don't think all startups need investment. Actually, I don't. I feel like if you can bootstrap, then you should bootstrap. You should bootstrap to a point whereby, personally, ideally, I would say you should, if you can, you should bootstrap to a point whereby you have the sales that shows that hockey stick, and then take that on to invest and say, hey, this is where we are with this. Now, if you invest this much, this is where this could take us, right? That's a better story than saying, I have an idea, now give me some money. So if you ask me how important, I think it depends on the stage, on what you're doing and why you need that money. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I like also what you talked about in terms of, the difference between being a founder and a CEO. Because sometimes you then realize, I'm great at maybe coming up with the ideas and, coming up with a strategy and everything, but maybe I may not be so great at executing. So have you got a team that's surrounding you, Prisca?
I do have a team that's surrounding me. Actually, I have an amazing team. Well, I'm very lucky that I have a team that I could not afford, but they're such early believers in the baresop concept that they're actually working for free, which is really amazing. I have one employee at the moment that I'm actually paying, but the rest of the team, I would say I have probably around me a team of probably 5 people that spend as much time as anyone would be spending, for money, just not for free. And, they're busy people and they're smart, and but I still have to obviously manage expectations and, and I think that's what I mean when I say that I feel like now I'm ready. I feel ready as a CEO, because when you're in that cycle of people who actually have done it before you, and you have to have a level of confidence to actually articulate your thoughts around them. And obviously, I think so. I don't know if that's the question, but yeah.
Yes, definitely does. Another question. What other products are you going to be launching with baresop?
Oh, that's exciting. That just makes me smile. So we are actually working on the body wash, which would have been launched already, but because of COVID, there's one ingredient that we sourced it from Australia last time with the hand wash, but it's not there anymore. So we are getting it from the US. And because flights are being delayed and COVID situation, so we now have to wait for another 4 weeks. Just one ingredient. Everything else is here. the sachets have been printed, the balls are ready. So yes, the body wash, and then we are doing face wash. Then we wanted to actually go into shampoo conditioner, but the customers are coming back and asking more for dishwash and laundry, which is very interesting. And very interesting is pet care.
Wow, yeah, that is interesting.
So,
well, fair enough. During COVID, a lot more people have got more pets.
Exactly.
As companions.
I know. So it's quite exciting that, how scalable the concept is in terms of product development and at horizontal scale. So I think that's it's something I didn't actually think about at the beginning, but there are insights we're just getting as we go. So
nice. Another question. So question is, I've seen a lot more brands who are doing tablets in this space. Is it getting more competitive, and how will you stay different?
It is getting more competitive, yes. And tablets, and it's funny, I don't know, is that a question from the audience?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. I don't know if that person was here when I said that I iterated from the tablets to where we are. And I'm so happy I did, because otherwise I think I would have no point of differentiation.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're asking, is it becoming competitive? Yes. Is that a good thing? 100%, because our competitive market with a new concept just shows that there's demand. And that also is about timing for us, because you can have a great concept, but if you bring it to market too early, it's still not going to work because the timing is not right. So I think for us, we are happy that our timing was accurate, because we launched at the time when this concept, people are kind of aware of it. Mm-hmm. So people are more willing to convert. Now, our point of difference is the tablets are not plant-based, as far as I know, because I did research that concept. So I know exactly all the ingredients in it. They're made in China. That's another thing. They're not made in Australia, 100%, which is not how, it's not part of our mission, and it's not I would say, part of our values. Yeah. And that's another differentiation point, because we are Australian brand, made in Australia, with Australian scents and source product ingredients. So that's another differentiation for us. And the last one is that we are really positioning ourselves as a body hair care brand. And again, as I said, with my research, finding out that people are not willing to use the tablet in their body. Mm-hmm. So again, I guess with that insight, we are a bit ahead to have the powder. So yeah, but again, we really appreciate the difference they're making, 100%. And hurrah to everyone who's trying to make a difference.
Yeah. Another question that's come through is in a similar lens is, I've never used a foaming body wash. Do you think people will adopt to it?
Yes, that's a really good question. Well, I hadn't used a foaming body wash until I was actually doing research for baresop. And I can't remember which one it is. There's a brand I could find it that I found. It was more for kids. It was hair, because the hair body wash. Yeah. Right. But for kids, you could just use one for the whole body. Right. And I tried it and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then now with that was the insight that we are getting is that foam is becoming a thing. So people are moving towards foam from liquid and gel. And that's also an insight that we are just finding out. So I think the new generation is moving more towards foam, and it's more positioned or seen as a fun way. It's more fun. So if you ask me, are people going to be, is it going to be easy to convert? We don't know yet because we haven't launched it, but we are hoping we'll see. And if it's not, I think I can't say we're going to give up. We're going to just keep educating people on why why they should give it a go. So yeah.
Well, you did mention that COVID has affected, especially your product line in terms of like the ingredients that you had, and also the delay in launching some of your products as well. How have you been able to manage or navigate through COVID and all these continuous lockdowns that don't appear to be ending anytime soon?
I can't say I have a formula of how I've done it, but one thing I've learned, or I think that I tap into just on my journey as an entrepreneur, is the default point is hard. Everything is going to be hard, and something works easy, you actually kind of question yourself, like, that's interesting, why is that easy? Like, maybe there's something I'm missing. So for me personally, this is every day. Like, if it's not COVID, it's an ingredient or it's something else.
Yeah.
So I think I've just learned to operate on it's hard, it's not gonna be easy mode. So that's actually my norm. That's my everyday. It's like I'm solving a problem, and like, freaking out about something. So it's just so therefore for me, the way I deal with it is just not a problem to actually deal with and figure out how to around it. Yeah.
Fair enough, very fair. And you've had such a long a long journey within your entrepreneurial, given how many times you've iterated on not only your business, but also the products that you deliver. A question that's very poignant right now is, how do you stay motivated and look after your well-being as a founder?
I think motivated is more of, for me, I'm like, I've come too far to give up. I think that's really one of the things for me. And the second thing is the purpose. When I think it's really hard, and it is every day, it seems like a rosy picture, but it's actually quite hard most of the times. But I really do go and tap onto, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So that purpose for me is what keeps me motivated, even way more than anything else. It's, I got to do this because of that. Yeah, that's everything. And how do I keep my well-being sort of safe? I love running. So that's my go-to. I love yoga. I meditate. I love cooking. I would say those are the main 4 things. I love reading, but I usually don't get time to read anymore. So I push that back a little bit, but on a daily basis, it's those 4.
Awesome. And that's good that you actually keep your mental well-being a priority as well throughout your hectic life as an entrepreneur. We also have another question from the audience. So person said, I'm launching a product in a couple of months and I'm not sure how much advertising to begin with. And also, how do you build an email list?
Right.
The question of
launching a product, and she doesn't know how much advertising she needs.
Yeah, doesn't know how much advertising that they need, and also finding out how can you build an email list.
Right, good question. So advertising, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, I'm not a bearer of good news, but advertising at the moment, if you're talking about Facebook ads and Instagram, which I imagine is what she's talking about, it's very, very hard at the moment. And this is a recurring sentiment I'm hearing, from your largest retailers to your small stores to your brand owners. And that's essentially because of the iOS. They've changed that. Now you have to agree as a customer that you want your info to be used, and that means you can't retarget on Facebook. And that's how people got those conversions, not from the first person, just from someone seeing your product, but how do you go and retarget that person who have seen your product and say, hey, do you want it now? How, like bringing new propositions to make them convert. Or when someone has convert, how do you go and tap on them again when you have a new product for them, right?
Yeah.
So because of iOS and because Facebook algorithm is actually, I would say, not working at the moment, sadly, it is sad. I mean, it affects everybody, even us. So, and that's affected most, including us, as I'm saying, in terms of relying on that kind of advertisement. So I would say, don't rely on it. If you have a budget, do it, but just be aware that that money might not come back.
Yeah.
You get me? So if you spend, let's say, $3,000, and you obviously want to sell anything more than $3,000 or even $3,000, otherwise you're losing money. You are not going to be getting that. You're going to be getting less. So now, in terms of email list, that's because email list is now where that happens. That's what you should be building, right? To actually, to nurture that community and be able to actually sell to them. So how do you do that? There are a few things. What I would do is I would run a competition on Instagram. And with that competition, I probably do like a giveaway. It's a great one, but you link it onto Klaviyo, or you link it onto, Klaviyo is a good one. Or so a giveaway of your product, or you collab with other brands with a similar offering and you do a giveaway together, and hopefully they have, combined, you have a bigger audience. But this is done when you drive these people onto an email link on your feed, on your main feed, right?
Yeah.
And so when they click, either it's a survey, or whether it's, just they're leaving their email, and whoever, and one or two people will win something. So I would say that's an effective way to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you bring up a very important point in terms of the algorithms, because Lord knows we are also a victim of that as well, because it's become very unfair and very competitive. And especially right now, when everyone is online, everyone wants to be seen. So there's a whole lot of a competition out there. So it's like you literally have to then differentiate yourself to say, well, how can I market to my audience? Another thing as well that I've found helpful, that we always tell our hackathon attendees who attend our hackathon, is understand how your customer interacts, because it could be, something as simple as reels, Instagram reels, which are coming up very quickly. Same thing with TikTok, small things like that. You might be able to sort of not necessarily overcome the algorithm, but it's just an alternative way to sort of bring that brand awareness.
100%. Yeah. I'm just saying you're right, because you kind of have to fill that funnel from the top.
Yes.
And that's how, that's how you do that. And even if they don't convert into sales, hopefully they're converting onto something else. But I do feel those are great, but really for you to have good value of return, I actually don't believe that's going to give you value of return. It's going to give you brand awareness, but really what you want is people to go onto your website and buy your product. And so it's finding out that's your key objective. So how do you do that? Because I feel like brand awareness is great and we do it too, but having that as not your objective, and that helps you to dig deeper into what else can I be doing, even if it's just a reel. What is the content of that reel that is going to make someone say, I'm going to go on their website and see what they're doing?
Yeah.
So it's not just, it shouldn't be just like, how do I say, cosmetic, like, oh, we're just amazing, or we do this. Like, that is a waste of time.
So it's like give them a reason to want to click and find
100%.
out more and provide you the information so that they can market, they can target, have your details. That absolutely makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Any other questions from the participants? I'm mindful of timing, so
what's the time now? Oh my God, that time was going so fast. That's been so much fun.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It's so much fun. Oh, thank you guys. I wish, obviously it's funny because it's just you and I, so we actually can't see the audience, but I just wanted to say, like, thank you guys for having me again. And for coming along the journey and listening to my story. Again, as I said, this is way bigger than myself, and I'm seeing myself as a vessel for other things that actually I want to do. Being, as I said, I'm originally from Kenya, and one of the vision that I have is, I want to create change there and other places, and not just the change of, just, again, I'm opposed to giving money, and that's, I'm more about creating change at the grassroots level and from inside to out. Like, I want to talk to, I want to see their face. I want to know who am I creating change for, and empowering them. It's not about empowering them to create change in their communities, and let that ripple to to their friends and network. But it's not about, it's a gap of how this has been done, and I feel like it's my mission to do it in a way that I think it's authentic, and that's why I'm doing this. And yeah, well,
thank you for honoring us with your presence. I know we are all ever so proud of you and all the achievements that you've done, and would like to know, how can we support baresop? How can we support your products?
That's funny, because I was gonna say, if anyone, I actually would like to support you guys. But thank you for asking. But no, I feel like, I feel like I owe so much to so many people. And I feel it's my turn to give back, and that's why I'm here today and letting all of you guys on there. If you need anything that I can help with, please do reach out. And
yeah, absolutely. Well, the whole intention of the Business Unusual, it was actually meant to be a networking event, but because lockdown, COVID, we had to again pivot. And so I decided to do it as actual, interviews, so that when we do then go and do our face-to-face, at least people know the people that we're going to be inviting, the entrepreneurs, their different spaces, and also just brand awareness as well of, the amazing talent that we have within the community. Because I think we don't speak enough about the amazing brands and entrepreneurs that we have in our own community. And it's high time we sort of amplify and highlight people like you, learn about your journey. And what I'm enjoying about this Business Unusual series is that each and every one of the entrepreneurs we are interviewing, they all have a completely different journey and a completely different experience. And, it talks to literally anyone and everyone. So it's more so giving that inspiration that, no matter who you are, where you come from, what you do, you can achieve what you want to do, if you commit to it. So thank you for being a voice of change. Thank you for continuing in this space of, sustainability, of, having climate conscious products and making it accessible for all of us so that we ourselves as well can make a change. So thank you very much, Prisca.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me, Luna. And you should be very proud of your contribution as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of our event today. Join us next week, same time, same place, as we interview yet another entrepreneur who is in the fintech space. So watch this space. Thanks, everyone, and have yourself a good night.